And now we have come to the person who couldn't quite possibly follow Andrew Jackson. I mean, Andrew Jackson created such a stir in his presidency. Martin Van Buren was his vice president his second term, and now he's got to follow up. So we're going to take a look at Martin Van Buren's presidential guide. Side note, when my daughter was young and we used to bathe her in the sink, we would put the suds on her cheeks and call her Martin Van Buren. Yeah, that's how much of a history nerd I am. Alright, Martin Van Buren. He's coming into office basically on the tailcoats, or the coattails of Andrew Jackson. Right, Andrew Jackson wasn't going to violate that two-term rule, so Martin Van Buren is basically seen as an extension of Jackson's policies, and that's really how Martin Van Buren sees it as well. He's intending to follow Jackson's policies. They've been so popular. That's what he wants to do. So in the election of 1836, he's going to defeat William Henry Harrison and three other Whigs. The Whig Party is divided at this time, 170 to 73. And because of that division within the Whig Party, he's got widespread support. Even in the North, Martin Van Buren's going to have widespread support. One of those reasons is that he is from New York. He is a Northerner. He's a Northern Democrat, but he is going to be kind of influential all the way around as far as that. America at the time of this election, we are about to head into an economic panic due to those pet banks and the problems with them making different loans out in the West, and instability is never a good thing for the economy, so the economy is going to freak out, and for 5 years we're going to have those issues. Van Buren is going to be saddled with that recession on his hands. Indian removal begins in earnest under Van Buren. He's the guy who has the Trail of Tears, even though Jackson gets the credit or blame, however you want to put that, on it. Van Buren's usually kind of forgotten in this, but he is actually the president who's going to be there when Indian removal begins. And he's going to continue that westward expansion and the Texas Revolution, and now having to think about, do we annex Texas as well? Alright. So we've already kind of covered the Panic 1837. It's going to be a 5-year depression based off of Jackson's financial policies. And Van Buren really doesn't have the resources, or at least he doesn't believe he has the resources to pull this underneath. A national bank would be nice. That would kind of be able to control that inflation, deflation, give basically rules to these smaller banks, but that, well, Jackson. Alright. Also, continuation of the Second Seminole War in Florida. The Seminoles have been basically they're trying to get them to move to Oklahoma as well. They're resisting. The Trail of Tears begins. The Cherokee are moved to Indian country. The reason why it's called the Trail of Tears, not only are they having to leave their ancestral homelands behind and that they've kind of been swindled or forced into this move, but also they're moving at the absolute worst time too. They're moving basically in the middle of the winter, and a lot of people are going to be dying on that trail because of the cold and exposure, rain, sleet, all of those types of things. And the other main domestic policy issue is that we have the Mormon faith kind of growing during this time, and they've been moving further and further west. They've moved from upstate New York. They've moved to Nauvoo, Illinois. Now they're in Missouri. I actually think this is before they go to Nauvoo. But there's basically an almost war about to happen between the Missourians and the Mormons, and Martin Van Buren's not going to step in on this, and this forces the Mormons to have to move again and kind of be a religion on the run. And then finally, Martin Van Buren, remember, he's only going to serve 4 years. So he's got foreign policy. He's going to be the president during that denial of annexation. Even though he attempts to try to purchase Texas, that's not going to go anywhere in Congress. Again, they're concerned about adding more slave territory on. So when we go into the election of 1840, it's Martin Van Buren going up against William Henry Harrison. He's really not going to stand much of a chance. William Henry Harrison, the Whigs are going to fight the Jacksonian Democrats using the Jacksonian Democrats playbook. Right? Right, they get William Henry Harrison, who's going to be an old rough and tumble guy, and they are going to win that election in 1840. All right, so a lot of these in the next couple are going to be one-term presidents, so they're going to go really quickly.